The Original Sin of Silence, Biden's Decline and What It Reveals About Power, Loyalty, and Democracy in Politics. Silence can be as powerful as any spoken word. In Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's controversial new book Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again, that silence is portrayed not just as complicit but catastrophic. The book details what it claims to be a well-orchestrated effort by President Joe Biden's closest allies to suppress concerns over his mental and physical fitness ahead of the 2024 election. The headline is stark. Biden, the oldest sitting U.S. president in history, is allegedly experiencing cognitive decline. Yet it's not the alleged decline that is most disturbing, it's the institutional refusal to confront it, and the dangerous loyalty that kept the truth buried under layers of politics, ambition, and fear. This isn't just a story about one man's health. It's a larger meditation on what happens when power becomes more important than transparency, when the desire to preserve an image overrides the duty to inform the public, and when leadership is defined not by clarity, but by curation. A portrait of decline and denial, drawing from nearly 200 interviews, many with Democratic insiders and staff within Biden's orbit. Tapper and Thompson build a case for what they call a collective cover-up. The book recounts moments of confusion, memory lapses, and physical frailty from President Biden, some of which reportedly prompted internal discussions about whether he might require a wheelchair during a second term. These are not anonymous Twitter rumors or political smears. These are claims reportedly based on observations by his aides, colleagues, and even family members. The most damning critique, however, isn't just that Biden showed signs of decline. It's that those closest to him kept those signs hidden, fearing the fallout of admitting that America's commander-in-chief might not be up to the job. From family members to senior White House officials, the book alleges a coordinated effort to protect the image of competency at all costs, even from other members of the Democratic leadership. The culture of political preservation. The central dilemma raised by Original Sin is not about Biden's age or mental sharpness alone. It's about a broader political culture where truth becomes dangerous, where speaking up is seen as betrayal, and where preserving the status quo becomes a higher priority than challenging its weaknesses. This is not a partisan phenomenon. It's systemic. In recent years, both major political parties have faced crises of integrity, scandals buried, concerns silenced, dysfunction hidden until it becomes undeniable. In such a culture, loyalty often becomes a form of quiet complicity. And the public, often left in the dark. This is where Original Sin hits hardest. It doesn't just ask whether Biden should have run again. It asks, why didn't more people say something when it mattered most? Between empathy and accountability, to speak of a leader's health, especially one who has dedicated decades to public service, is not easy. There is a natural inclination toward empathy, respect, and privacy. President Biden has overcome enormous personal tragedies and dedicated his life to politics with resilience and sincerity. But empathy does not mean abandoning accountability. If anything, true respect for leadership demands honesty about its limits. The very notion of public service implies a willingness to put the nation's interests before personal ambition. If a leader's capacity to serve is diminished, the most patriotic act is not to protect him, it is to protect the institution. What's at stake? A crisis of can the consequences of concealing a president's cognitive health extend beyond politics. They corrode public trust. They invite international vulnerability. And perhaps most tragically, they deny the American public the right to make informed choices. If the people who know a leader best choose silence over truth, they are not shielding him, they are shielding themselves. In doing so, they compromise the very democracy they claim to protect. Conclusion: will America confront its original sin? Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's Original Sin may anger, polarize, and provoke. But it has done something rare in modern political discourse. It has forced a mirror onto the establishment and asked, how long can we pretend before the cost becomes unbearable? And that is the question we must all consider, not just about Biden, but about every leader we place our trust in. At what point does silence become betrayal, and who will have the courage to speak before the next crisis comes too late?